Nobody's problem is the food. Even if you figure out you have a food sensitivity to dairy or gluten or corn, the problem is not the food. The problem is your digestive system. And so we got to get that fixed.
You're listening to Turn Your Soul On Radio. I am your host and visionary doctor, Dr. Brandy Victory, and my mission is to assist high-achieving women in closing the gap between feeling unfulfilled to living a life on fire. It is time, ladies, to champion our own lives and turn ourselves on. This is Living Victoriously, ladies. This is how you turn your soul on.
Hello, beautiful angels. I am happy to be here with you today. I hope you're feeling extremely blessed in your life as I am sitting here drinking this incredible smoothie that I made filled with goodness like kale and carrots, apples, a power shake from Purium, and what else did I put in here? Water and stevia. I think that's about it. No, banana. Don't forget that. The banana. That makes it the best. And it's just feeling so good with a little extra spirulina in there for a boost of yumminess. And feeling good, ladies. Today we're going to talk about why some foods may be causing you GI distress and you can't pinpoint what they are. I commonly have people come and like, hey, I think I have this digestive issue and I think it's a specific food, but I can't figure out which food it is. And there is a very good reason for that. And I'm going to share that with you today and how you can go about figuring that stuff out for yourself. Before we get started on our show, if you would just pause for a second and share this with your friends so that we can get this show out to more people and start helping more people create greater health in their lives so our whole entire humanity becomes a healthier population. Thank you very much for your help with that. If you would like to rate and review it, I would appreciate that greatly because that also promotes the show. Today our show is sponsored by Purium Superfoods. Purium Superfoods is just the power shake people that's right in my shake right now. They're also the ones that sponsor the 10-day transformation program that I do with my patients, and I am starting a group on May 5th, so I'm so excited. It's virtual, so it doesn't matter where you're living. If you want to join in and get yourself on a 10-day cleanse, join me because I love this stuff like you don't even know. And when we do it as a group, it's so much fun. So not only are you going to be improving your physical health with the program itself, but we're also, as a group, I take you through guided meditations, I take you through sensuality exercises, I give you homework every day, and it's just all around life promoting, excellent, fun, joyous, connected community of women who are going through it all together, holding hands, supporting each other, and I love this stuff. And I'd love it if you join us. And so if you'd like more information on that and you're thinking about doing a cleanse, you might as well join it with us. You can learn more about that at drbrandyvictory.com/10-day. That's 10day. drbrandyvictory.com/10-day. And there's a little button on there if you're interested in learning more after you read that or you want to join. You just hit that button and I'll get a message and we'll set up a time to chat to make sure it's a good fit for you. All right, so let's get on with the show. So we're talking about patients and people who can't figure out why certain foods make them feel bad and other times they don't. And we're going to drill down on this really good for you here. The most common reason this is happening is because there is a situation of leaky gut. This is intestinal permeability, and I'm going to get into what exactly that means. But first I'm going to start with, you should be having at least one good bowel movement a day. If you are not, you need to call me. We need to get this sorted out. There's a reason, and we got to figure that out because this is your primary detoxification pathway. And if you're not pooing, you're not getting rid of your toxins and you're causing yourself harm. It's everything from joint pain, muscle pain, headaches, irritability, fatigue, nausea, like all these things can happen. And who knows what the long term, I could probably guess at some long-term problems that you really don't want to know that you're causing yourself if you're not pooing regularly. So let's get that situated. Your poo at least once a day. They should be fully formed. It should be like a regular medium brown in color. So if it's light or white, it's fatty or pasty, this could be a problem of fat metabolism. If they're like small, round, pebbly, hard, this might be dehydration. Maybe they're thin and ribbon-like or pencil-like. This could be a couple of things. It could be an impacted colon. It could be a motility issue. It could be a bacterial issue. If it's very foul smelling, or if you have foul smelling gas, maybe there's a protein malabsorption issue. So there's so many reasons why we might have irregular bowels. So let's get that sorted out first so that you can move those toxins out. Number one, a priority, total, okay? Now, there's other things that go on with people, like stomach burning when they eat food, or maybe when they're hungry and eating food helps it. This can be a lot of different things. It could be excess hydrochloric acid. It could be an ulcer. It could be gastritis, which is essentially inflammation. Okay, this is a topic that keeps coming up: inflammation. But that will cause your body to not feel great. All right. So, if you have any of these other things going on, or any kind of GI issue going on, definitely talk to your doctor before just kind of willy-nillying and stabbing at it and trying to fix it and wondering why nothing works. You need to know what's going on inside your body. So that's number one. Getting back to the primary reason why people can't figure out this food thing is because typically, and this isn't always, but typically there's leaky gut, like I said before. And essentially what that is a situation like this, okay? So in a healthy gut, the intestinal lining, all the cells should be seated so closely together nothing can get through them, and they're held together in what's called tight junctions. And all the cells are like shoulder to shoulder, so tightly bound together that what goes in your mouth and isn't absorbed and turns into feces or something that needs to be eliminated, which should be eliminated, right? It can be eliminated. It doesn't get reabsorbed because there's nothing else to be reabsorbed. It moves right out with all the toxins that come out of your liver and your kidneys and all the stuff. It just goes right out. And then if you have a leaky gut or an impermeable or a permeability issue in your gut, then this is a situation where the cells are not held together very tightly. So their tight junctions open up. So in a healthy gut, the space between every cell should be about 1 micron. And that's really, really, really tiny, okay? So a micron is a millionth of a meter, okay? That's really, really tight. So to put it in perspective, your red blood cells are about 5 microns in size, and a piece of hair, like a typical human hair, is about 75 microns in size. So a red blood cell can't even get through your intestinal lining, and it's not supposed to. Neither is a piece of hair, neither is a piece of food, or neither is the toxin or the waste that's supposed to be released, okay? But whenever you have a leaky gut, those cell junctions can get up to 200 to 400 microns wide. And remember, a hair is 75 microns. So that's big. That's like really, really big. And so what do you think happens when you eat food that's supposed to go through your digestive system and out? It actually can leak through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream. So it might be, yesterday I had somebody say I had buffalo wings and that caused a problem. And not too long ago I had somebody say, blueberries sometimes cause problems. You never know. And it's not always, right? So, and there's the reason why is because these cellular junctions do open and close, depending on certain circumstances that are going on inside your body. And so sometimes foods get through and sometimes they don't. All right. Or maybe it has something to do with the motility that's going on inside the digestive system that's always there. Maybe causes some of the opening and closing too when the tight junctions aren't fully tight like they should be. So second thing, after we get our bowels moving, the second thing is we've got to heal and seal that leaky gut. We've got to get that to seal up. Otherwise, you're going to just continue down this path of not knowing what's wrong with you, and it's just going to drive you nuts, okay? I see patients are just crazy when they make it to my office because they've finally given up, thank goodness. Don't wait till you're crazy. Get some help with what's going on with you, and get yourself somewhere to someone who can help you, or call me up. And I work with people all over the country with this kind of stuff, and it works, okay? It works. You can heal and seal your leaky gut, and you don't have to continue to have these kind of problems. The other thing that sometimes happens is people have food sensitivities. Now, this is an important thing to consider, and food sensitivities are different than allergies. So a food allergy, a true food allergy, will give you like anaphylactic shock, and you could die from it. So, don't play around with this kind of stuff. Make sure if you're having any kind of problems with food sensitivities or allergies to check with your doctor. But food sensitivities can just wreak havoc on your digestive system, and then you don't get nourished appropriately, okay? And then when this happens, again, you get headaches and joint pain and muscle pain, weakness, difficulty breathing, irritability. Like there's a whole host of things that people are experiencing in their life, and they chalk it up to aging, or they just quote unquote deal with it and just think it'll go away. But then it doesn't go away, and they just live their life like that. Like I had a lady come in, and she's like, "Oh, I've been like this for 3 years." Okay, 3 years? Why the didn't you get in here and do something about it before now? Like, that's insane. All right. I want my life to feel as good as I possibly can always. And I want that for you too. So you've got to want that for you too. So step up and let's take care of anything that's going on before it becomes a huge problem. Like your body does heal itself. And sometimes we need support to get that to happen. So don't waste time feeling shitty. All right. There are a couple of ways that you can determine a food sensitivity. And one of the ways is to simply get a test. Like I love doing those kinds of tests because it just lets us know immediately what's going on. All right. So, and, sometimes I'll find that people have crazy sensitivities to the things that I would normally put them on. Like one lady I'm working with, she has a sensitivity to broccoli. Like that's incredible. I would have never ever thought anyone would have a sensitivity to broccoli. So, all the things, if I hadn't known that, all the things that we've been trying to do, it would have been working against her, because I would have had her on broccoli. Trust me, I have almost everyone on broccoli. I have pretty much everyone on broccoli except for her. So it's important, to know what foods you're sensitive to. The easiest way to determine a food intolerance on your own is by doing an elimination diet, okay? So elimination diets remove foods that are commonly associated with intolerances for a particular period of time, and then you reintroduce those foods back in to determine if you have a sensitivity or a reaction to it. But you have to take it out of your body for a period of time so your body stops being reactive to it. And then when you put it back in, you can see immediately, almost immediately, like within 2 days, if it's a problem or not, okay? So the most common food intolerances include dairy. I know you probably already know. It's all the fun stuff, okay? Dairy and gluten, cheese, that's in the dairy, corn, soy. Caffeine actually is a food intolerance. There's also fermented food intolerances or FODMAP foods, and I'll go into that a little bit more maybe later on another podcast. And then if you have IBS, like irritable bowel syndrome, this is a really important thing for you, because about 86% of people who are diagnosed with irritable bowel experience a reduction in symptoms when they follow a low FODMAP diet. Now, again, I'm not going to go into the FODMAP diet today. Let's just talk about how you can do this elimination diet so you can figure out, but FODMAPs are going to be included in that, okay? And there's a whole host of foods. I'm not going to go into all exactly the same foods, all the foods that you should be avoiding, because I have a food sensitivity checklist, and you can just go right online and download it, and it makes it really, really simple. And you may look at that and go, wow, this doesn't seem like I can eat anything. And it's because we do pretty much take out a lot of foods that are going to cause sensitivities. You're going to end up eating turkey and lamb and fish and vegetables and fruits, but there's specific ones that you can eliminate And then you only do this for a short period of time, okay? So the elimination diet is about 3 to 4 weeks. I try to encourage people to go 4 weeks if they can. And then you can start reintroducing those foods back in. But the way you do it is you reintroduce one food at a time. So let's just say you've been on this elimination diet and you've taken out all the possible insulting foods, and then it's been 4 weeks, and then on Monday you want to add back in, let's say, a food group like dairy. So on Monday you can have some cheese and you can have some milk and that kind of thing. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday you go right back to the elimination diet and just wait and see. So food sensitivity can show up immediately after eating. It could take a few hours after eating. It could even take a few days after eating. So you got to give yourself a good 2 days. I tell people 3, a good 2 days to see if you're going to have any reactivity to the foods that you had eaten. And if you continue to eat you just have to go back to the elimination diet between introductions. That's all. And then every 3 days you can add another food group and see what's happening. See if, add it in on now it'll be Thursday. So you're going to well, let's see if I can have gluten, and I'm going to add some bread in. And then you add bread in on Thursday, and then go back to your elimination diet on Friday and Saturday and see how things are going. And then Sunday or Monday, add in another food group. So, the whole thing takes about 6 weeks. And what you're looking for is you're looking at how you're feeling, like how your sleep is doing, how your mood is doing, how your bowel habits are doing, how your bowels are moving, and if you're having any of the symptoms that you had before, like if you're having rashes or hives or nausea or bloating and gas, indigestion, diarrhea, allergies, asthma, those kinds of things, they're all depression, anxiety, they're all possibly related to a food sensitivity. So when you get relief from those things simply by changing your diet, it makes it really easy to continue that kind of lifestyle. And then when you figure out, oh, I see, the dairy does it to me, this is what it is, you gotta then either just stay away from dairy, which is what some people choose to do, or you got to work on healing your gut so that you can have dairy. Now, typically, I don't necessarily put people right back on their traditional dairy. Even if we heal their gut up, I don't recommend just eating traditional dairy. Like the vitamin D fortified whole milk that you get in the gallon jug at your grocery store, and your Kraft cheddar, those are just things you're probably never going to eat again if you start working with me. That's just not okay, because that's not healthy for you. What we're going to do is we're going to put you back on cheese, but we're going to put you on a raw cheese or a sheep cheese or goat cheese, and then we're going to give you some recipes so that you know how to work with this kind of stuff. And if you want to go back to your milk, that's perfectly fine, but I'm going to recommend going with a raw milk, or there's a farm here in Boulder, and they're all over the country, so don't just think, well, I don't live there. Don't give yourself an excuse to opt out, okay? And who knows, the dairy may not be your thing. It may not even be your thing, but there's a farm here in Boulder called Lightroot Farms, and they have biodynamic raw milk. So this is better than organic. Their whole entire system, their whole entire farm is seen as an entity with a spirit, and so they use all the parts of everything. And when they harvest a cow, they may take his hooves and his horns and grind them up and fertilize the soil again. And I mean, it's just this beautiful practice that they have, and highly encourage you to check out that if you're in the area, or check out other possible dairy farms if you're on dairy, and get yourself on raw dairy. Yes, there's been a lot of controversy on raw dairy, and there's reasons for that. So before I started drinking raw dairy, I went to the farm and I toured the farm and I asked her all kinds of questions about that. And basically, this is a small farm. It's not your conventional huge farm where the cows are slopping around in their own poo, okay? And so these people take very high concern and care when it comes to getting the milk and bottling the milk and all these kinds of things. It's amazing the setup they have and the way they take off their boots before they go in and, all the things. So there's not contamination in the milk. And, it doesn't matter what you're eating. You always have a risk that you're taking. And I the benefits of raw milk are so extraordinary that I can't even begin to tell you how wonderful it is. When you drink it, you just feel it, and it's amazing. So anyway, that's kind of the way it goes, is that we'll figure out, or you'll figure out, if you just download my little food sensitivity checklist, you're going to figure out which foods you're sensitive to. And then either you're going to feel okay just avoiding those foods, or you're going to figure out, hey, you know what? I really would like to eat these foods. And if there's something I can do to improve my health, I'd like to do that. So then you'd call me or call somebody who works with these kinds of issues and helps people regenerate their gut so that their gut works the way it's meant to. So if you're having bowel issues like constipation or diarrhea, heartburn, bloating, gas, nausea, just feeling really uncomfortable, moody, depressed, anxious, anything like that. Like it's definitely not a lack of medication. And I don't want you to do what I've seen patients do, is that they do the elimination diet and they figure out that they can't have so many different things. And one lady was she was down to eating lettuce and she could only have a few leaves at a time. And she could have blueberries and only a few blueberries at a time. It was horrible. Like that was the extent of her diet because she'd gotten herself into such a predicament around sensitivities. Well, her problem wasn't the foods. Nobody's problem is the food. Even if you figure out you have a food sensitivity to dairy or gluten or corn, the problem is not the food. The problem is your digestive system. And so we got to get that fixed. Unless you just are okay not eating corn, then do that. But, there's ways around this stuff. There's ways to improve the digestive function. And if you download the checklist, the food sensitivity checklist, you're going to get some emails that will follow up and make sure that you're on track with that. And just know that you have support if you want to get this stuff figured out for yourself, okay? So I'm going to leave you with that. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my podcast and rate and review it and share it with your friends so we can share this light with more people. And soul sisters, do whatever it takes to turn your soul on. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Turn Your Soul On Radio. Go ahead and subscribe below. And if you feel it's worthy of a 5-star review, I'd greatly appreciate your support in this way. If you'd like to go deeper with me, you're welcome to join our private Facebook group, Turn Your Soul On, or take it to a whole nother level and apply for my 4-month Turn Your Soul On Masterclass. You're welcome to do this at drbrandyvictory.com. Whatever you do, turn your soul on.
This podcast is for information purposes only. Dr. Brandy Victory is not a medical doctor, and the views and statements expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Dr. Brandy Victory and the producers, disclaim responsibility from any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.